There is something I have been thinking about lately. We live in a world that constantly tells us, be visible, show your face, build your personal brand, post more, talk louder, make sure people know who you are. And somewhere along the way, we began confusing visibility with power. But I don't believe they're the same thing. Welcome to the Marble and Magnolia podcast. I'm Regina. And this is a space for conversations about women, leadership, reinvention, relationships, faith, ambition, and the quiet work of becoming who you were created to be. And for this first episode, I want to begin with something simple. You don't have to be seen to be powerful. I've spent a lot of my life in spaces where being seen mattered. As a teacher, as an educator, as a doctoral student, as a woman building a career, as a mother, as a leader, and now as someone creating something of my own. I've learned that there is a tremendous pressure placed on women to constantly prove that we're doing something. Prove that we're successful. Prove that we're relevant. Prove that we're interesting. Prove that we're accomplished. And today, social media has amplified that pressure. We're encouraged to turn our lives into content, our homes into content, our children into content, our relationships into content, our faces into brands. And I understand why. Visibility can create opportunity, but visibility is not the same thing as value. A woman can have 10,000 followers and have no idea who she is. And another woman can have 10 followers and possess an extraordinary amount of wisdom. One is visible, the other is powerful. Sometimes they're the same woman, but sometimes they aren't. And I think we need to remember that. For me, choosing not to show my face isn't about hiding. It's actually about being intentional. I don't want someone to listen to an idea because they like my hair. I don't want someone to agree with me because they think I'm attractive. I don't want the conversation to become about what I'm wearing, how old I look, whether I've aged well, or whether I fit somebody else's definition of beauty. I want the ideas to have room to breathe. I want my voice to be enough. I want the words to stand on their own, because there is a particular kind of freedom that comes when you stop performing for other people. You stop asking, do they like me? And you start asking, is this true? Is this useful? Is this meaningful? Is this aligned with who I am becoming? That's a very different way to live. And maybe you've experienced this too. Maybe you've spent years trying to be understood by people who had already decided how they wanted to see you. Maybe you've worked hard to prove your worth in a workplace. Maybe you've tried to convince people that you are capable. Maybe you've made yourself smaller because you didn't want to intimidate anyone. Maybe you've been the person who always showed up, always helped, always explained, always tried to keep the peace. And perhaps you reached a point where you're tired. Not tired of doing meaningful things, tired of proving that you're worthy of doing them. There is a difference. Power doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes power is quiet. Power is being able to walk into a room without needing everyone to approve of you. Power is knowing what you believe without needing to argue about it. Power is being able to say no without writing a 5-paragraph explanation. Power is allowing someone to misunderstand you without chasing them down to correct the story. Power is leaving situations that require you to betray yourself in order to belong. And sometimes power is simply becoming comfortable with the fact that not everyone is going to see you correctly. That one took me a while to understand. We want to be seen accurately. We want people to know our intentions. We want them to know our hearts. We want them to understand why we made the choices we made. But here's the difficult truth. You can explain yourself perfectly, and someone will still choose to misunderstand you. That's not always yours to fix. And I think there is tremendous freedom in accepting that. Because when you stop spending your energy trying to control how other people perceive you, you have more energy to actually build your life, to build your work, to love your family, to serve your community, to create, to learn, to become. That's what marble and magnolia means to me. The marble represents strength, structure, endurance, something that can withstand pressure. And the magnolia represents beauty, grace, rootedness, something that doesn't need to scream to be noticed. And I think women need both. We need the marble and we need the magnolia. We can still be strong without becoming hard. We can be feminine without becoming fragile. We can be ambitious without becoming performative. We can be visible when we choose to be visible and private when we choose to be private. We don't owe the world constant access to us. So if you're listening to this today and you're in a season where you feel invisible, I want you to reconsider that word. Maybe you're not invisible. Maybe you're building. Maybe you're healing. Maybe you're learning. Maybe you're becoming. Maybe you're doing some of the most important work of your life in a season that nobody else can see, and that's okay. Seeds grow in the dark. Roots grow underground. Foundations are built before anyone sees the building. Not everything valuable is immediately visible. So here's what I want you to remember. You do not have to be constantly seen to be significant. You don't have to be constantly praised to be valuable. You don't have to be constantly validated to know who you are. And you don't have to turn yourself into a performance in order to have purpose. There is power in being known, but there is also power in knowing yourself. And sometimes the most powerful thing a woman can do is stop asking the world to confirm who she already knows herself to be. This is the Marble and Magnolia podcast. I'm Regina, and this is just the beginning. Until next time, remember, you don't have to be seen to be powerful. You just have to know who you are.